The hardest part is not to start the thing. Actually, the hardest part to stick with the thing when it's get boring. To stick with the thing when you don't really feel like it. When there are all of these so much more interesting new things all around you. And during those circumstances, just stick with that thing. And so today I would like to talk about monk mode, dopamine, focus, and most importantly, what it takes to stay on the path. And so hopefully I qualify a tiny bit to talk about this topic throughout my last 1.5 years, but I would phrase it as more than 1 year. I've been conducting quite hard style of a monk mode, which consisted of and consists up to this point with me eating super restrictively. Most of my days I'm eating 1 meal a day. By the end of the day I'm eating ketogenic diet. I don't use social media, only if I'm selling on it. And yeah, so social life pretty much zero, and basically all the distractions are like cut to zero. I mean, obviously no pornography and all the good stuff. And so another thing, what I've been doing throughout my last 1 year is training every single day. Despite of me not being an athlete and not being professionally rewarded for any of my efforts on this field. And so what I would like to talk about is something that I've been blessed to realize regarding to how we can actually stick to the plan and how we can actually get to the place where what we are setting up for. So what do I mean by this? Have you ever had this feeling that you've been setting up that, hey man, like this is the proper path that I'm supposed to be following, this is the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, and maybe you are able to follow that path for a few days, so for example, or maybe for a week, but when it comes to actually long-term execution, building up a habit around it, despite of this being boring, obviously after the first few trials, when you know all of the ins and outs, you should just stick with it. So for example, the easiest example is, again, exercising and training. So you are setting it up for yourself. I will be training every single morning, so therefore I will be more positive and more energetic. And so you are setting up this thing for yourself, but somehow when it comes a time and when discipline is supposed to be applied, then your willpower just somehow evaporates. And so I would like to talk about the actual principle, initially the principle, and secondly the application of the principle of how we can actually turn this thing around. And so another good example that I would like to explain this situation with, I would like to take it from my personal life. So for example, I had this week when I've been setting up for myself that I will be setting up 3 appointments for my marketing agency, which I'm building, by the way, with cold calling. And so at this very moment I clearly know that the most important, so this is not my logic. My goal at this very moment that by September 1st I will have 5 paid clients in my system. And I would say that I have been able to acquire 5 clients because I know that maybe I fuck up and maybe something bad will happen. But the actual, I'm super interested in the acquisition process. Back to the point, I know that the fastest way in order for me to get there is to just simply stick to one thing. If I would be super 120% rational with this thing, then the only thing that I will be doing all day long is calling. Like cold calling, at least 8 hours a day, and 2-3 hours, obviously follow up and closing calls. That's it. And obviously a few hours of, like refreshing, because if you're bombarded with so much information, like you have to cool down every single day. It's like otherwise you just blow up. It's like so much emotions are coming with cold calling. It's like you have to just get that emotion out of yourself. So you have to work out and whatever. So basically what I could be doing is like, hey man, I'm waking up and I'm calling all day long as much as I can. And so most rationally how it would look like for me is that I'm getting everything done by 2 o'clock p.m. like everything, and from basically 2 p.m. till 10 p.m. like the 8 hours, I'll be calling. And the last few hours, the last 2 hours, let's say, would be the follow-ups and all the good stuff. So for example, till noon, till midnight, and then midnight, like I'll be doing some little exercise and eating something and just, meditate and go to bed, like at 1, 2 p.m. max, waking up 9 a.m. and, starting the whole thing again and over and over and over again. So this would be my perfect rational routine. But somehow I'm just sabotaging myself. Somehow I'm just setting up myself in a way where I'm like, hey, I just simply cannot do that. And most of my days, I didn't even set up this strict thing, but I was setting up for myself that I'm setting up 3 appointments. And setting up 3 appointments would take me anywhere from 4 to 5 hours of calling. And yes, like I would say that 5 hours of calling, I would say very 2 appointments is sure, and 3 appointments is certain, which would be a very, very good number to look at. Okay. But in reality, what have happened is that most of my days, I ended up making 2.5, 3 hours, 3.5 hours of calling. And I haven't been able to set up those appointments because I just got distracted. I just, my discipline was not there all the time. And so how does it work is that we human beings, so this is the example. Let me explain the actual process behind how does it work. We human beings are always getting excited about new things because evolutionary, we are wired in a way of obviously getting excited about new things, because if we are involved in a new situation, then dopamine is getting released. And just simply think about that. A new potential mate, new potential food opportunity, new potential whatever that might be. This is human nature. This is inside of our... I do not really want to get into the scientific background of this whole thing. First, because I'm not qualified perhaps to talk about that. And second, that would be too long. And this is how we operate. And so if you already know the ins and outs, so for example with cold calling, like I just simply know the ins and outs. It's like, this is what I do, this is how it looks like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, like this is what I say, like I pretty much know all this, like I pretty much have met with, I'd say 98% of all the situations. So it's like very likely that I'll be finding something that I haven't known before. And so basically with cold calling, the best thing that I can find, the best thing that can happen to me when dopamine is released is when I'm able to set up an appointment. Okay, so suppose that in every 1 or 2 hours I'm able to set up an appointment, but it also happened that I've been calling like 3 hours and I haven't been able to set up any proper appointments because it's like just that's it. And so during those days, the next day I do feel the tendency, when I haven't been able to set up a proper appointment, just like a maybe follow-up kind of a thing. It's like, maybe I'm interested, send me an email kind of a thing. It's like not that, hey man, like let's do this thing. Then I'm feeling that something is not good. I'm just simply not on the path. So if I'm not getting the actual dopamine from the activity that I'm doing, that I'm supposed to be doing, then my mind starts to wander on. My mind starts to chase about new opportunities. Like, hey man, like should you supposed to be focusing on the customer? Should you supposed to be focusing on the new thing? The same thing when you are supposed in a relationship, whether it be with the opposite sex, whether it be with a friend. If you are not getting positive emotions and positive, I would say, reinforcement out of that relationship, that what basically ends up happening is that you just simply start looking for something else. And so again, this is human nature, because if you're just simply not getting our thing there, then we start to look for new things, because in our brains, to our monkey brains, it just simply signals that something is not good, something is not right. Although I rationally know that my shortest and easiest path to growth will be cold calling, because again, if I'm at 5 clients and if I'm at least a $10,000 retainer, then what ends up happening is that I will be able to hire someone who will be making the cold calling. I'll be able to hire someone who will be able to do the actual outreach with IG or whatever that might be. And so the actual idea here is that I rationally know that I just simply supposed to getting there as soon as humanly possible. So just go through that pain as soon as humanly possible. And despite of this, when I'm not getting rewarded one day with actually being able to set up an appointment, then I'm like, man, like Next day I'm just feeling myself, like lonely, and all of the sudden, like everything is bored. It's like everything is just all around the place. It's like I'm just not feeling good. And so the best thing that I found in order for us to quote unquote solve this situation, which will be the second part of the video, and excuse me for talking about so much about this, but I really wanted to get into the details so therefore I can convey this message as properly as I can, is that I'm just simply shutting down everything else. When I'm feeling the urge to start something new, I'm just getting back to that activity. So for example, I'm just feeling the urge to start a new business. I'm just feeling the urge to start something completely new. And so what ends up happening is that I'm just getting back to the same thing. So I'm just getting back to the cold calling. And so now that I'm back to the cold calling again, after a while, since I'm forcing myself to do that, I'm just simply hitting someone. And if I'm hitting someone and if I'm able to set up an appointment, I just have such a high and elevated mood that it's like, I just want to do this again. And so it is easier said than done, but the actual practical takeaway and actual practical approach for this, for all of us who are doing something that is fucking soul crushing and not easy, and again, building a business is many times it's not that easy, because again, progress comes from not jumping on the shiny opportunity, is to just simply shut down the noise. And when we are feeling something more interesting, then get out of the emotion and get back to the old thing and just keep doing that thing. And I'm not saying that we're supposed to be doing the old thing up until what, but when we exactly know rationally that that's the path, this is how we're supposed to be keeping on the path. And the same thing with working out. It's like, don't give up, brothers. Like, start the workout and just keep on doing that, because after 20 minutes you will be warmed up, you'll be on the mood, and after 40 minutes or 1 hour or 1.5 hours, depending on your level, that you will experience this dopamine that, hey man, you've been doing good, here's your reward, and next time you will be getting back. And so 2 takeaways. The very first one is shut down the noise, and secondly, get back to the thing. And the third, which would be a bonus, is do everything that you can so that for the thing would be rewarding for you. Because if the thing is rewarding, then you will go back, keep repeating the activity. Okay, without me starting a new thread about this, and because I'm very much like in the mood to start to talk about this, I would like to leave you with this, and now I have to go and jump making the calls. Love.